When I was growing up, I knew I loved music. I was always singing and performing. But because I was quite an academic child, the prospects of a young Black woman in like actuary or engineering was so enticing. At some point, I thought I would study law. I started, I did not finish. But I did not imagine that my CV would look the way that it did, or does rather. I think that over the years, when opportunities presented themselves, I just took them on and found myself doing what I do. And I think it's very purposeful and fulfilling. No day in my life is ever the same. That's why on my YouTube channel, there are many a day in my life. But let me take you through a typical day, a typical busy day. Would be waking up early for makeup and then getting my face done, rushing somewhere to MC something, and then maybe have go to radio, prepare for the show. In between, I'm responding to emails of any of the projects I'm producing. I'm viewing episodes, I'm signing off music, I am preparing a pitch. Then I go on air, do my radio show. After radio, sometimes I'm rushing to a voiceover or rushing home to do a voiceover at home. In between, mornings are, I try and spend the morning with my son, with his breakfast and getting ready. Afternoon, after school, we spend a bit of time together. Then I usually rush into meetings. And then sometimes I have late nights where I sleep at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., depending what's happening at the time. So no day is the same. I don't have much of a social life, if I'm honest. Like my current social life is my son and I watching the same movie 7 times over and over again. The way that I spot a good opportunity is when it's laid bare in front of me. Like, I never imagined I'd be a voice director for an animation with Disney. But then I got the call that said, hey, I'm trying to develop young Black female voice directors. Are you keen? And my thing is always to say yes and then figure out how to do it later. So even when they called me to, come on air for the first time at 7:02, I was like, I got this. And then afterwards I was like, I don't got this. And I called my mom, I don't got this. So my thing is say yes and figure it out later, except don't do it with medicine or accounting.
Okay.
Don't say yes if you don't have the medicine degree. I love radio because the platform is so personal and it's something supposedly old school that we still get to hold on to and we feel a part of a community. At the same time, working on a show like Miss South Africa, I start with these ideas in my head and I do a line drawing and I send it to our set designer. And then 2 months later, the set is built and that was in my head. And the people around me were able to take something in my head and make it real. Unpacked for me was a healing experience in the sense that many of the guests leave feeling relieved. And to know that I was able to facilitate that is indirectly healing to me. Also, it just puts life into perspective, when you realize what some people have gone through and survived. It then reminds you, like I actually have it good. And I'm also capable of surviving X, Y, and Z. And the way Unpacked came about was literally just phoning people with gear and saying, come through, let's shoot, there's no money. And people show up for you. Like, how crazy amazing that is that people will show up for you in a time where no one was making money. We got together and decided to put a show together. So the whole thing, even when we started shooting season 2, my baby was 2 weeks old. And I had to be very mindful about the information I absorbed. So it was healing in that it taught me all the skills I needed to take with me. Like, you can't carry other people's things. I still had to go home and breastfeed my child and make sure I'm not taking on people's energies. But so many of the guests have written in, chatted to the team, just saying, I feel healed. I felt like I was in a therapy session. A lot of the viewers say, wow, this healed me. So it was a healing experience, very, very healing. I think the way you get people to be vulnerable is by being vulnerable yourself. So even on my radio show, I'm extremely vulnerable. I'm very open with my listeners, and it makes them feel free to talk to me. So the parts of me that I had to adjust is remove judgment. I cannot sit with somebody who I know has killed a person and walk into that conversation already judging him. Or interviewing a woman who her father killed her whole family. I can't walk into that conversation with pity for her, because I have to be as blank and as open a canvas as possible, so that I can be curious and ask questions. And my responses cannot be shock and dismay, even though some of them really were shock and dismay. I think the spirit in which we did it, it's not just me who had to be a safe space. The entire crew is in the room watching and listening to conversations of some of the most intimate violations that our guests have been through. So it really meant, in between episodes, regroup, recenter. I don't talk too much to the guests off camera, because I want the magic to unfold when we're rolling, and I'll always just check, are you fine? How are you feeling? Are you nervous? We're just gonna have a chat. My favorite me time, I actually got to have me time this past weekend. It's getting home on a Friday night, and then I have popcorn and everybody's out the house, like, except for the dog. And then afterwards, I fall asleep watching something, and then I wake up at my own time, because school appointments means always waking up early. Wake up at my own time, and then you look at the clock and you're like, I could sleep some more. And then you sleep some more, and then you're on flight mode, and then eventually you get up and I have a beautiful garden. You just the simple things. Like, that is my favorite thing. Then I'll run myself a bath, definitely go get a Thai massage, and just take it easy. Like, just breathe, just be. And it sounds very simple, but to me, those moments are so few. Like, being able to run a bath and put Epsom salt and soak, it doesn't happen often because I'm always in a hurry. So that's my perfect me time. It's not even going out somewhere, and maybe I'll be craving something and I'll cook something for myself, and I'll just be like, this is the life. Me on the couch, my popcorn, waking up when my body tells me to wake up, chilling. I'll tell you my secret to interviews. I never over-research. I like to walk into a conversation a little bit curious. So even on radio with my producer, we will be interviewing somebody, let's say a cardiologist. I'm not gonna know back to front what cardiology is about. And if you watch in my interviews, you see genuine shock on my face with some of the things that they tell me. And I think having the right people around me has helped in keeping a certain bit of mystery, so that I can be the mouthpiece of the audience wanting to know. So even if you see conversations I've had with Lira, Mini Gamini, Mpoma Boy, the many people on the upside of failure, I don't over-research them, even though I know them personally, and we will check with them what they're comfortable answering. I generally just like the conversation to flow, as if I'm just sitting with a new person that I met at the airport, like, what do you do for a living? And just being genuinely curious. Now I know in the world of journalism, that would be like a no-no. How can you interview someone without knowing? And I'm like, I'm not a journalist, number one. Number two, I consider myself a talk show host, both on radio, both on television. And what has worked for me is being curious, is talking to a person with as blank a slate as possible. I'll have an idea what we're talking about, but I genuinely want to be like, what? 3 times? No. Like, I genuinely want to be shocked with the listeners. So I love to leave that room of curiosity of, I don't want to over research this person, this guest, this subject, so that I can say, us lay people, we don't know what that means. Share with us in the layman's terms. And I think that is a lot more relatable in some instances, and it works for the shows that I do.